Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserve.com. And in this clip, we're going to be going over review 2 of our Algebra 1 review series. We're going to be focusing on expressions, 1 and 2-step equations in this presentation. Let's take a look at question 1. It reads, a pack of gum costs 50 cents, and that price is 2 cents less than 2 times what the pack cost 20 years ago. Question, which equation can be used to find the cost of the gum 20 years ago? So we're going to start by declaring what our variable is, okay, that we're going to use to build the equation. So we're going to use x, all right, because that's the variable we have in the alternatives here. So let x be the cost of gum, cost of a pack of gum 20 years ago. Okay. Alright, so can we use the information presented in this problem and this variable x to build an equation? It says the current cost is 50 cents, okay? And that is 2 cents less than 2 times what the pack cost 20 years ago. So if you look at the expression 2 cents less than twice or 2 times the cost 20 years ago, the way this is written is kind of reversed. Okay, so 2 cents less than 2 times the cost 20 years ago is actually written as 2 times the cost 20 years ago, which is x. Less means minus, okay? Less than, so 2 cents, that's 0.02. Okay? So that's what this expression is. We know that this expression is equal to the cost of gum right now. So the current cost of gum is 50 cents. So 2 cents less than twice the cost 20 years ago is equal to the current cost, which is 50 cents, 0.5. Okay? So that's how you build the equation. And the answer to question number 1 is option letter C. Alright, let's take a look at number 2. It says Jeff uses the expression 2b, 2 times 3b plus 1 to determine how many books he needs in order for his store. If b is equal to 10, how many books should Jeff order? Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to use this expression 2 times 3b plus 1 to determine exactly how many books he should order. Okay, so we can call that, we could call it, so number of books he should order, number of books to order is 2 times 3b plus 1. Okay, so now, when b is equal to 10, we can now use this expression to figure out exactly how many books Jeff should order. Okay, so when b is equal to 10, number of books to order is now going to be the expression with 2 substituted in the place of b. Okay, 10 actually, so 3 times 10 plus 1. Okay, so at any b value, 2 times the quantity 3b plus 1 will tell Jeff how many books to order. When b is equal to 10, all we're doing is taking that value 10 and we're substituting it in for b in this expression. That's how we got this result that we have here. Okay, so now what we'll do is simply use the order of operations to evaluate what this expression is. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So we have a parenthesis. We have to simplify the operation in the parenthesis first. So in the parenthesis, we have multiplication and addition. You multiply and divide before you add and subtract, okay? So we are going to multiply 3 times 10 first, which is 30, plus 1. Now let's continue with the simplification of the operation in the parentheses. 30 times 1, plus 1 is 31. And then when you double that, 2 times 31, you get 62. The answer is option letter C. Alright, for number 3, it says if x is equal to -3 and y is equal to 2, evaluate 3y minus 5x and 2x minus 6 over 2 and find their sum. Okay? So part 1, we're going to evaluate first. So evaluate. Let's start with 3y minus 5x. We're evaluating when x is equal to -3 and y is equal to 2. So we're going to substitute these values into this expression. So we're going to have 3 times 2 minus 5 times -3. Using order of operations, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We're going to multiply first before we subtract. Okay, so 3 times 2 is 6. -5 times -3 is positive 15. When you add these two numbers together, you get 21. Okay? Now for the expression 2x minus 6 over 2, we're simply just going to substitute x equals -3 here. So that gives us 2 times -3 minus 6 over 2. Using the order of operations, there is an invisible parenthesis in the numerator here. So we have to evaluate all the operations in the numerator completely first before we go to the denominator. Okay? So we're going to multiply 2 times -3, that's -6. So we have -6 minus 6 over 2. We still have that invisible parenthesis in the numerator. So we have to still have to complete all the operations in the numerator first. Alright? So what is -6 minus 6? -6 minus 6, the signs are the same, so you add and keep the sign. So you have -12 over 2. And then when you divide positive by negative, since the signs are different, you have negative. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay? Now we have to find the sum of the two values that we just got. Okay, so that's part 2, which is to find the sum. So part 2, find the sum. Remember, sum means addition. Okay, so we're just going to take 21 and we're going to add -6. Okay, so that's going to be, we have two signs next to each other, different. So when you multiply two different signs, you always end up with a minus. 21 minus 6. And then if we subtract 21 from 6, we're going to end up with 15. Answer to question 3 is option letter B. Alright, let's take a look at number 4. We have to solve the equation -5 plus a equals 45. So -5 plus a equals 45. We can solve this by just using one step. We want to get a by itself. So the one step that we're going to be carrying out is simply to add 5 to both sides. That will result in the isolation of a. And our final answer, we have a, 45 plus 5 is 50. Answer to question number 4 is option letter C. Alright, let's take a look at question 5. This is another one-step equation. So for this one, let's go ahead and rewrite the equation. We want to solve for x in the equation 13.5 equals x minus 0.5. Now to do this, we need to get x by itself. This can be accomplished in one step, and the step will be to simply add 0.5 to both sides of the equation. Okay? When you're adding decimals, you want to make sure that you line up the decimal points so you do not make mistakes in your number place addition or subtraction computation. Okay, so you can do this with a calculator. I'm going to do this by hand because it's pretty straightforward. If you do this by hand, 13.5 plus 0.5 is simply 14. Change the color here. It's going to be 14.0. And then on the right side, these ones add up to 0, and we're left with x. The answer to number 5 is option letter D. Let's look at number 6. It says Michelle made 30 more sales calls last month than Alan. Together they made 140 calls. Question: how many calls were made by Michelle? Alright, so let's start by declaring our variables that we'll use in the creation of our equations. So let's say let M be the number of calls Michelle makes. Okay, and then let A be the number of calls Alan makes. Okay, so we're now going to set up our two equations. So the first one is Michelle made 30 more sales calls than Alan. 30 more just simply means add. Okay, so Michelle made, think about made as equal to Michelle equals 30 more than Alan. So it's 30 plus, that's 30 more than Alan A. Okay, so this is our first equation. And the second one says together, what operation is that? Together is plus. So together they made 140 calls. So the number Michelle made plus the number Alan made together yields 140, which is the second equation. So what we're going to do is basically substitute in order to find the number of calls that Alan made. We're going to substitute the value of 30 plus A into M. Okay, so we're going to take 30 plus A and we're going to substitute that into the M position. Okay, now if we do that, it's going to result in an equation that can help us find the number of calls that Alan made. Okay, so if we make the substitution, we're going to have 30 plus A, number of calls Michelle made, plus A, number of calls Alan made, together they get 140. Okay, and then if we combine like terms A and A, we have 30 plus 2A equals 140. And now to get A by itself, we can carry this out in two steps. First of all, we can subtract 30 and then divide by 2. Okay, so subtract 30 from both sides. If you subtract 30 from both sides, you end up with what? You're going to end up with 2A is equal. Let me change the color here. So 2A is equal to 140 minus 30 is 110. And then divide, we're going to proceed to divide both sides by 2 in order to get the number of calls that Alan made. So dividing both sides by 2, we're going to have A is equal to 55. Okay, so real quick correction, the problem, there's a typo in the problem. We're looking for the number of calls that Alan made. Okay, so A is equal to 55, so number of calls made by Alan is 55. If we want to find the number of calls Michelle made, all we'll just simply do is subtract 55 from 140, and that will give us the number of calls made by Michelle. But for this problem, let's just figure out the number of calls made by Alan, and it is 55. Alright, let's take a look at question 7. It says, Katie decides to sell lemonade to make money. Katie's mom said she will double the amount of money she makes. If she sells 55 cups of lemonade at 50 cents each, how much does she make? Alright, so to do this, you have to first of all remember the formula for total earnings. So formula, total income or earnings for sales is basically the unit price, okay, that you charge divided by the quantity that you sold. Okay, so in the case of Katie, her total earnings, so Katie's uh, earnings are simply going to be the product of the unit price, which is how much she charges for each cup of lemonade, which is 0.5, and then she's going to multiply that by 55, the total number of cups that she sold. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply that out. I'm going to use my calculator for this. So we have 55 times 0.5, and that's 27.5. So she makes 27.5, $27.50. Is that all she made? No. How much Katie made is doubled, okay? Since mom doubles her earnings, doubles basically means multiply by 2 her earnings. What's her final earning going to be? Her earnings, Katie's final earning will be what? Katie's Katie's final earning will be double what she made, which is 27.5 multiplied by 2, and that gives us a total of $55. And the answer is option letter B. Nathalie delivers boxes for Parcel Express. She charges a daily fee of $50 and a $5 fee for each delivery. If she delivers 30 boxes, her payroll specialist said her pay should be 50 times 5 and add 30. Is Jim, the payroll specialist, right or wrong? So let's go ahead and calculate how much she's going to earn. Okay, so we're going to start out by writing down the formula for her earnings. So formula for earnings, formula for her earnings is basically her variable cost, which is unit cost times quantity, and then that multiplied by, and then you add on the fee, flat fee, which is independent of how many she delivers. Okay, so in the case of Nathalie, the unit cost for each package that she delivers is $5 each. So that's the unit earning or unit cost for that she'll charge for each package that she delivers. So the unit cost is going to be 5 times the quantity that she delivers, which is 30. So unit cost times the quantity is 5 times 30. And then we're going to add the flat fee. She charges $50 flat every day. Okay? So it's going to be 5 times 30 plus the flat fee she charges per day, which is just $50. Okay? So basically, what the payroll specialist should do is multiply 5 by 30, which is the total cost for 30 deliveries, and then add the flat fee per day, which is 50. Okay, so 5 times 30, and we add the flat fee of $50. All right, so the answer is option letter C. All right, let's take a look at number 9. It says the height of an ostrich is 25 inches more than 4 times the height of a kiwi. If the ostrich is 110 inches tall, how tall is the kiwi? So let's go ahead and declare our variables. Let OS be the height of the ostrich, and then K be the height of the kiwi. All right, so let's go ahead and set up some equations. We have the height of an ostrich is 25 inches more than 4 times the height of a kiwi. So is equal to, more is add, 4 times is just 4 times. Okay, so if we want to set up an equation, we're going to have ostrich, OS, height of the ostrich is equal to 4 times, 25 more, you add 4 times the height of a kiwi, 4K. Okay, we're also told that the height of the ostrich is 110. So OS, height of ostrich, is 110. So the question is, what is the height of the kiwi? So with this setup that we have right here, we can make a substitution. What kind of substitution can we make? We can take the 110 and substitute it into the height of an ostrich in the first equation. So that gives us, so if we substitute, we'll call this equation 1 and 2. What we're doing is we're going to substitute 110 for OS in equation 1. So that will give us 110 equals 25 plus 4K. Now in order to get K by itself, we just simply subtract 25 from both sides of the equation. Subtract 25. And then, let's see, what does that give us? 110 minus 25 is 85. So we have 85 equals, this to cancel out, 4K. And then to finish this off, to get K by itself, we divide both sides by 4. So divide by 4 and divide by 4. And then when you plug that into your calculator, let's go ahead and calculate what that is. 85 divided by 4 is 21.25. So the height of the kiwi is 21.25 inches, and that is option letter E.